I was at Old Trafford. It was chaotic.
You've got to be ready for that big decision, irrespective of what time it came, and it came very early in this game. It is a red card for denial of goal scoring opportunity. There can be no complaints about that one.
Was there anything he could have done to avoid sending off Casemiro, or did he have to?
I think he had to. He stops that promising attack. The holding is there, it's sustained. It was a really cynical foul.
Why was this not given as a penalty, and do you think it should have been?
There was a massive clue with this decision, and the massive clue was the ball. The ball clearly deflects. You can see the toe. He clearly plays the ball, and I just don't see a penalty in this situation.
Hello and welcome to Men in Black, your weekly podcast where we dive into the controversial refereeing decisions from across the top flight weekend. I'm Sam Matterface. I'm joined by the former Premier League referee Chris Foy. As always, another weekend where there is no shortage of refereeing decisions to discuss. We've had rain, we've had red cards, we've had relief for Manchester United, so we're going to begin at Old Trafford.
It is a red card and it's gone to Robert Sanchez, the Chelsea goalkeeper. He wins the ball and flicks it by Sanchez, who then brings down Brian Mbeumo. Manchester United 1, Chelsea 0. The goal does stand. It was Trevor Chalobah's foot that was poking out, and I just wondered whether that was far enough forward to keep Bruno Fernandes onside. Now Pedro just on the break as I'm speaking to you now, Jamie, but he does go down on the edge of the 18-yard area, and as you'd expect, the Chelsea supporters are just pleading for a penalty. Casemiro has just been given his second yellow card. Casemiro pulls on his shoulders of Santos, and that's a huge decision.
Chris, the ball was sloshing around. There was water splashing up the shorts. There were slide tackles going in. There were people falling over. I was at Old Trafford on Saturday night. It was chaotic, crackers conditions, 4 big incidents for us to discuss. I just want to ask you, first of all, as a referee, when the rain is teeming down, the players are sliding in and the water's sloshing up everywhere, do you have to adapt the way you take charge of that game? Do you sort of secretly love it as well, because it's just a little bit different?
Yeah, you absolutely love it, don't you? I mean, every time you referee a football match, you love it, and sometimes the conditions are challenging and things can happen that are different. So you've got to take that into account. But at the end of the day, you've still got to referee a football match irrespective of what happens. You know, it could be snowing, it could be torrential rain, like you said. It could be a boiling hot day. So, yeah, you take it all into account and hopefully you can get through the game with not too much controversy.
Or falling over, because the worst thing for a referee and the best thing for the crowd is a ref falling over. That's like their favourite thing. Let's split these incidents into red cards and then the other points afterwards, because there are 4 incidents to get into here on quite a controversial day. I mean, Robert Sanchez sent off for a denial of a goal-scoring opportunity. This was really early in the game. He rushed off his line. Sesko's flicked the ball on, and Mbeumo is chasing towards the goal. Sanchez comes out like Superman, and he brings him down. Now, look, a straight red card. Referee Peter Banks doesn't really wait too long. He gave himself a bit of thinking time, actually, and then red card. Is there any way this isn't dogso? I heard some people suggest that there was a covering defender. I didn't think that criteria probably applied to this situation because there was literally an open goal. What did you think? Tell us.
Well, I think in the first instance, it's the right outcome. And I think Peter Banks, the referee, did really well here, along with his teammate, Eddie Smart, who was assistant 1. For the simple reason, Peter was a little bit behind play, but he worked an angle and he quite clearly saw the foul, but he needed the next bit of the information. And the perfect angle for this was where the assistant was standing on the touchline. He could quite clearly see that Mbeumo had got ahead of the covering defenders when the challenge was made. And he took his time, as you said, Sam, just that little delay, run it through your mind, get the additional information in, and he came up with the right decision. It is a red card for denial of goal scoring opportunity. There can be no complaints about that one.
Just explain to us what the criteria is, because people always talk about these sort of covering defenders. How close do they have to be to stop that from being the case?
Well, I think it's a case of, can they make a challenge for the ball? But in this situation, he'd gone past those. He'd gone by them, and his next touch was probably going to be a shot on goal. I don't think there was a clearer example of denial of a goal-scoring opportunity. I've not heard too many discerning voices, in fairness, to say it was the wrong decision. So, credit where credit's due in this situation. And bear in mind as well, 4 minutes in, when you do your warm up and you get ready and you're running around, you've got to be ready for that big decision, irrespective of what time it came, and it came very early in this game.
Yep, it certainly did. It wasn't too long before he had to make another big one, though, because in the, I think it was something like 45th minute plus 5 minutes of added time, Casemiro was given a second yellow card and sent to the stands. Now, the first yellow card, I've got no complaints about, the challenge on Enzo Fernandez. The second yellow card, was the pull on Andres Santos enough for a second yellow? Was it enough for a yellow in isolation? And could you manage that situation better? Bearing in mind the game state, the fact that you've already sent off one player, the conditions the way they were, you could hardly stand up at that stage because the pitch was starting to get very, very soggy. Was there anything he could have done to avoid sending off Casemiro, or did he have to?
I think he had to. I watched this game and I have to say I really enjoyed it. And when I actually saw the first challenge, that was, stonewall yellow card, nowhere to go for Casemiro. When you see the second challenge, he's actually got two arms round him. It's not just a fleeting glance. He's got two arms round him. And when you actually stop the picture and look where he is, I don't think there's any other defenders round him. He's got clear space to run into, Santos. And it was a clear hole in a fence. He can't have any complaints with that. I mean, I looked at it and thought, could you manage it? Is that one where you can manage it? And I looked again and I thought, no, as I said, two arms round him, clear hold in a fence. He's got places to run into with the ball. He's away. It was a really cynical foul, and I don't think Casemiro can have any complaints with that one, Sam.
So when you're refereeing a big game like that, do you consider the context of the game when you're deciding to show a second yellow card? Are you under pressure to treat a second yellow card slightly differently from a first?
No, what it does, it generally hits you in the pit of your stomach. You can tell. You don't really need much thinking time with situations like that. It was clear. This one was clear. I don't have a problem with it. He stops that promising attack. The holding is there. It's sustained. I don't have a problem with that one.
Okay. Obviously, Casemiro's an experienced player, but he does love a red card every now and again. Does player reputation play any part when you're making a decision like that?
No, not at all. You have to judge everything on, what you see on the field on the day. You can always pre-plan for a game. You give it a lot of thought where the flashpoints may be, but what you never do is you can never prejudge. You can only referee what's in front of you. Might sound a little boring, but that's what it is. You referee what's in front of you and you punish the foul.
Okay, so that's the red cards out of the way. Let's go to the other controversial decisions in this game, because this is probably gathering more attention than even those red cards. And that is the VAR check on Bruno Fernandes's goal and the João Pedro incident where he was challenged by Mazraoui and wasn't given a penalty. Let's start with the VAR check. Bruno Fernandes scores a goal. Chalobah's back heel seems to be level with his T-shirt line. Now, there is a lengthy delay. The linesman assistant referee on the far side, Eddie Smart, has a clear line of vision here. He can see everything, but it is very tight. Semi-automated technology is supposed to speed this up. Why did it take so long?
Interesting. I think what we've said this season, it's about getting the big decisions right. And sometimes, checks will take a little longer. Maybe there was a number of players in there that caused the delay. But listen, there was a delay, but the semi-automated has kicked in. And it's found that he was actually offside, so we can't really complain about that. We've wanted this technology, and it's here now. We trust the technology, we trust the people using it, and albeit it's really tight, it's offside.
Okay, you say we trust the technology, but when we see the graphic of this, we look at it, and it's not entirely clear as to which part of Bruno's body has kept him onside, because Chalobah's back heel looks in line with the shirt of Bruno, and the T-shirt line we know is up here. So where did the offside graphic sort of help us there when we were trying to discern whether or not this was the right decision or not? How has the VAR looked at that and gone, yeah, definitely that is onside?
Yeah, I think when you look at the graphic, people will talk about that. And I think that just sometimes proves how tight these offside decisions really are. But the technology tells us that it's offside and we have to go with it.
Do you think, though, there probably should be a stricter time limit on VAR checks? Because when you're in the stadium, and I was in the crowd on Saturday night. People were getting a little bit irritated. They celebrated the goal. They're waiting for it to be clarified. There's a VAR check, and I turned around and gone, I think he's fine or whatever. And then all of a sudden, like, we're sitting there going, well, maybe it is going to be overturned. You never know that Chelsea might get away with it or whatever, or Man United might get a goal here, or, there's people have started to go, well, what's happening?
Yeah,
there's not much communication in the crowd, by the way.
No, we've had there's been lots of discussion and debate about VAR, and we discuss it every week, don't we? People are saying, should there be a time limit? But this was a factual decision. You're either on or you're offside here, and it was checked, and that was done. Sometimes they do take longer. I think this season VAR checks have been speeded up, but when we get one now, it sort of stands out a little bit. But it's about getting that big decision right, and as I said, we trust the process.
Okay, all right. So let's go for another controversial decision where you're going to annoy Chelsea fans, because Pedro goes down in the penalty area. This is 33 minutes into the first half. He dribbles into the box, into the inside left channel. Mazraoui comes across, commits a challenge. Chelsea think it's a penalty. VAR checked it, says there's not enough for a sufficient foul. He got a slight touch on the ball here. Does that get him out of trouble? Why was this not given as a penalty, and do you think it should have been?
When you're refereeing, Sam, there's always clues on a field to offences, and there was a massive clue with this decision, and the massive clue was the ball. The ball clearly deflects. You can see the toe. He toes the ball away from him. That is the clue. That's exactly what the referee sees in that situation. I made a point of looking at this. I looked at it several times, and I couldn't understand the noise around it. I just thought the tackle was fine. Clearly plays the ball, and I think had the referee have been given a penalty in that situation, he may well have gone to the screen, because I just don't see a penalty in this situation.
Yeah, I mean, I think having watched it back several times, the one thing that you notice when you watch it from the face-on angle is that as the challenge comes in, the ball does go in a very different direction to what it was travelling previously. So that is your cue, that is your marker for the referee to decide that actually he's got a touch on the ball. So I suppose when you look at it from that angle, you realise that there's no clear evidence to overturn the on-field decision.
That's it. I mean, when you look at the position of the referee, that's exactly the angle he sees. The clue is always the ball. The ball deviates away where he toes it. Is it a clear error by the referee? No, it's not. So, sometimes you've got to give credit where credit's due, and I would say that wasn't a penalty and a good spot by the referee.
Okay, but is there some suggestion that occasionally defenders hide behind the idea of a minimal touch on the ball while still getting something on the attacker?
Sometimes that can negate it. Yeah, if somebody flies in with speed, intensity, and sort of skims the top of the ball and takes a player out, you may see a challenge like that in the middle of the field. I've got the ball, ref, but you've actually just touched the top of the ball and gone through and made an excessive force challenge. So each and every one's decided on and adjudicated on its own individual merits.
Well, I think you sorted out those decisions, Chris. The big game of the weekend certainly was Arsenal-Manchester City, but in terms of incidents and VAR calls, there's no doubt that Old Trafford got our gaze.
In towards Gravenberch! And it all started with Gakpo's tackle.
Yeah, it's not foul. It's not a foul.
Jones wiring in on Jack Grealish, though, has given away a free kick. Oh, the referee again has blown the whistle and said they can't take the short free kick. We've got a yellow card, Dewsbury Hall, for that.
The Premier League, we want speed in it. Let them play.
That was totally unnecessary.
But again, what happens if he's on a yellow card and that ends up costing him becoming the red card?
Liverpool 2, Everton 1, a spicy Merseyside derby, which ended up with a couple of interesting cautions, which we'll get to in just a second. Let's start off with the first goal, and Cody Gakpo wrestling the ball from Iliman Ndiaye to kickstart a Liverpool counter-attack. Gravenberch charged forward, finds space in the box, gets the ball back from Mo Salah, and he puts the ball in the back of the net. Was Gakpo's contact on Iliman Ndiaye fair use of strength, or did it amount to a foul?
I think it's a fair use of strength, Sam. I looked at it last night again. I just think it's a strong challenge for the ball. I don't see a foul. Quite clearly, it would have been checked by the VAR. Was it a clear and obvious error in relation to the attacking possession phase, the APP? I think not. not too much noise around this one. You know, play was allowed to continue. I think it's fine.
Okay. There was another big incident when Jack Grealish was fouled by Liverpool's Curtis Jones in the 78th minute of this game. Stayed down injured after the incident. Eventually, a free kick is given. 29 seconds later, Dewsbury Hall took the free kick. The referee was not facing the set-piece taker. He'd not blown his whistle when it was taken, but he proceeded to book the Everton player. Now, you might have seen a little bit of noise about this because there was two commentators who were sitting in the box upstairs who were going, "What on earth is going on here?" There was a midfielder who did an interview afterwards who couldn't believe it, Jack Grealish. Kieran Dewsbury Hall put an Instagram post and said, "The less said about that yellow, the better." Why was he booked?
Well, there are situations in football matches where when you give a free kick, a player will put his hand on the ball and we play and we just go. I think this is what would be determined as a ceremonial free kick, where the ball has been placed and referee Darren England has actually gone in to speak to someone, and as he's coming back out, the free kick's been taken. I think if Darren had his time again, he probably would have made him take the free kick again and not caution, because what I think it did was it drew unnecessary attention to himself. I've not seen one of these before. I just think, as I said, if you reflect on it, you would just stop the game, take the free kick again. We set it up, we take the free kick again, and away we go. And it's disappointing, really, because there is a lot of noise around this. And for Darren, it was probably the biggest Premier League game he's refereed of his career to date. You know, a Merseyside derby is a massive fixture, 60-odd thousand people, millions around the world watching this. That'll be something that he will want to reflect on. But as I said, you try not to draw that unnecessary attention to yourself, because in the main, I thought he'd refereed the game well.
I don't want to hammer Darren England, but I'm still trying to work out what part of the law he's used in order to book Dewsbury Hall. Because, you know, if you go back and have a look at it, there's no law that states that a quick free kick is punishable with a card. I've just never seen anybody booked for taking a free kick quickly before, and we want this to happen, don't we? We want the speed of the game to be high. We want people to be able to be inventive and quick and keep the game moving. No?
Yeah, I think what happened here was the ball's been positioned and he's actually gone in to speak to a couple of players who were jostling, and as he's making his way out, the free kick's been taken. And that's why he stopped it. And he felt what he'd done was unsporting, and that's probably the reason why he got the caution. As I said, if Darren had his time again, I think the easy way would have been just to blow the whistle, set the free kick up, and let's take it without a caution. As I said, it probably drew that unnecessary attention on himself, which you don't need when the game's gone really well for him.
What are the rules over quick free kicks? When can you take one?
Well,
why couldn't he in that situation?
What you generally do in any football match is people in and around the penalty area will want you to set a free kick up. So you'll actually ask them, do you want to go fast or slow? And in the main, they will say slow, which means put the spray down, march the wall back the required distance to 9.15 metres, remind the players in the wall, keep your arms down so we don't handball it. And you're saying to the player, don't take the free kick until I've given you the signal and blown the whistle. And that's what they want, because there's so many players who are capable of taking free kicks in and around that area. They want it all set up properly. But sometimes in midfield, defensive third, they just want to play. So you put a hand on the ball and play. And that's the way we are. So it's asking them whether it's fast or slow, quick free kick or a ceremonial one.
So he didn't ask them?
Well, he's obviously put his spray down and set this up and moved into position. He's gone from where the free kick was, moved into position, and then there's the jostling. That's what's attracted him into that location to speak to the players. And while he's in there and then he starts to back out, they take the free kick and he's not quite in position, the referee.
Talk to me about timekeeping. I know you're always on time. Every time we do this podcast, you're the first man in the room. However, Jack wasn't happy about the 3 minutes of added time at the end of the derby, and he said that's not usual. And you could sort of understand that. Did you understand it? Who's in charge of the timekeeping? Is it just the referee and his little watch, or is it a team effort?
The referee acts as timekeeper, but what you'll find now is that the fourth official will keep an accurate record of everything that happens. I think in the second half, this was where the noise was, wasn't it? In the second half, I think there was 4 substitutions, a couple of double ones, 4 yellow cards,
goal,
and the goal. Let me come to on my list. And we came to that, and they came to the conclusion that it was 3 minutes. I think had they have played 4 or 5 maximum, there wouldn't have been too many complaints. But as always, I remember speaking to a Premier League manager once, and he said it does cause more trouble than it's worth sometimes, Chris. And I said, why is that? And he said, because sometimes when you're winning 1-0, you want 1, and when you're losing 1-0, you want 10. So a couple of things, as I said, for the referee to reflect on in this game. As I said, I thought he refereed it really well. Big game, lots of pressure. But just take away that unnecessary attention from yourself.
Okay, let's move on.
The red card is the story. Matty Cash knocking over Ronaldo. Well, he didn't take it particularly well. He raised his left boot, caught him in the groin, and the referee decided that was it. It was for the reaction.
Sunderland 1, Aston Villa 1, and Aston Villa actually very disappointed to find themselves again without a win, because Sunderland played a brilliant game with 10 players, but they were down to 10 players because Reinildo was sent off. He was shoved to the ground by Matty Cash. 33 minutes on the clock. He lashes out. I say lashes out. He was falling backwards, and we're going to fall out over this, I know. But he was unhappy about the fact that he was pushed over. So he initially was fouled by Matt Cash. In fact, Sam Barrett gives the free kick to Reinildo. He then leans back and pushes him with his foot in his midriff. I mean, you're going to tell me it was in his nether regions. And the referee spots the offence and sends him off. If he only gave him a yellow card there, does VAR overturn it? Is it violent conduct? Where's the line?
Sam, if you think this is a yellow card for reckless play, then I'm really disappointed in you. Because, yes, it was a foul. It was a foul, and the referee, Sam Barrett, quite rightly awarded a free kick. You cannot retaliate in that way. He launched a straight leg into the groin of Matty Cash.
He did it. It's not a launching of a straight leg. He just had a prod at him.
Sam, you're talking guff. Come on, man. He's just gone with the straight leg up the inside of his thigh into his groin. You talk about striking somebody in the groin there. That is absolute a violent act. That's not reckless play. That's violent. Where's the ball? Don't answer that one, by the way. And he's got him in the groin. And listen, there ain't nobody I've spoken to or seen or listened to says that's not a red card now. I'm getting worried about you. Are you going soft in your old age?
Yeah, well, do you know what? I just thought that after 33 minutes, I also don't like the idea that if you are the player that is fouled, if you are wrestled to the ground and pushed on the floor and pushed out of play, that, you know, you're on your back, you've been knocked over, you're off kilter, someone's treading all over you, and you react because you're like, get off me, then you're the one that gets the red card. I don't like that. But look, I'm not stupid. I understand that by the letter of the law, that is a red card. But go back 10, 15 years, I'm not necessarily sure that would be the case.
Sam, it's 2020. It's 2025. We're refereeing a football match in 25. We're not back to 1974 and it was a play on. Come on.
Fair enough. I think he was provoked by Matty Cash, though, don't you? Could he have got a caution for his part in proceedings?
What, for adopting an aggressive attitude? I think, listen, it's a simple foul on field, isn't it? It's given by the referee, Sam Barrett. And what we shouldn't underestimate in this situation, Sam, is the fact that the referee gave the red card on field. Whether there was a little bit of help from the fourth official who can assist the referee to control the game, fine. But let's not be critical of a referee that's gone out there and made a really strong decision. He's identified an act of violence and the player's quite rightly sent off.
Okay. Perry Groves didn't think it was a sending off, by the way.
He never agrees with anything I say, that fella. He's playing back in 1974, isn't he?
To be fair, he's still wearing the shorts from 1974. Right, okay, let's move on.
Newcastle might feel quite strongly that they should have had a penalty in the second half after a clear tug on the shirt from Giacchite on Nick Voltemada inside the box, but VAR decided that there wasn't sustained contact.
I'm only going off my gut instinct, and usually your gut instinct's not far away.
Bournemouth 0, Newcastle United 0. A potential foul on Nick Voltemada made the headlines. Bafodi Diakite in the 52nd minute grabbed his shirt. Could he have had a penalty? There was also a possible second caution for Malik Tiao after he'd already been booked. So let's talk about that Voltemada one first of all here, because could he have had a penalty? Eddie Howe said he thought his gut instinct was it's a penalty. Bafodé Diakite in the penalty area, grabbing his shirt. He certainly tugged it. I saw the replay. You've seen the replay. He's got a big clump of that shirt. The PGMOL or the VAR saying that there was no sustained holding there. Did it stop him from getting a shot off?
I don't think it did, and I think if a penalty had been given, it certainly wouldn't have been overturned. And what you get from me, Sam, is you get honesty and the way I see it. I put myself yesterday in the shoes of the referee here, and there is a slight hold on his arm. It's fleeting, it really is. And people will say, Chris, that's a penalty. I'm actually saying if I'm refereeing this game, I wouldn't give a penalty for that, because the theatrics of the player who went down just doesn't correlate. It just doesn't fit right. There's no arms around him. It's a little grab on his arm. It's a fleeting. Sam, if we're giving penalties for that, I'm in the wrong job.
He's got hold of his shirt though, hasn't he? And the thing about sustained holding is that we don't know what that means. What does sustained holding mean? Well, how long do you get to grab someone for?
Well, you're not going to put a time scale on it, and sustained means he's keeping hold of him for a while. It was just a slight grab on his arm. Sam, that doesn't meet the threshold for a penalty for me. And if it was outside the box, I'm not giving a foul. I just don't see it as a foul. It's just play on. I can't. It's just so soft. It just doesn't sit right with me, that one.
Talk about the exaggeration of contact, though, because players get judged by referees, don't they, if they're over the top. So, if, like, for example, in this scenario, you think that his reaction to being pulled back was greater than it needed to be. But sometimes he's sort of trying to highlight the fact that his shirt was being pulled, and the referee might not have seen that unless he made a big fuss about it. Can you understand that?
Yeah, I do. And what players do these days is, if there's contact sometimes, and we'll talk about an incident a little bit later on, they give a referee a decision to make. They're actually saying, look, I can feel the contact, I'm going down. Sometimes they can, their actions can be fortuitous. I think in this situation it wasn't. The referee had a good view. They want you to make a decision. And I just think that, let's not beat about the bush here. If I grab your arm and pull you back, you come backwards. If I just got a little fleeting glance on your arm and you throw yourself forwards, the two don't join up. And I put myself in the referee's shoes there yesterday. If I'm refereeing that game, there's no way I would give a penalty for that. No chance.
Meanwhile, Andoni Iraola was not happy post-match. He suggested the Newcastle defender Malik Thiaw shouldn't have avoided a second booking after substitute Ryan Christie was brought down outside the box late on. Well, look, I mean, I think this was a yellow card, to be honest with you. Is this an instance where the VAR is restricted because you can't get involved in second yellow card offences?
Yeah, it is. And referee Rob Jones has already cautioned Thiaw for a deliberate handball. I was stunned when he didn't send him off. I just couldn't believe he didn't do it. Bournemouth player there is in possession of the ball, driving forward, and I'm like, he's completely blocked off. There is no attempt to play the ball. Christie's in possession of the ball. He's running towards the penalty area, just completely blocked off. I mean, I would describe that as perhaps a non-footballing action. He just turns his back and blocks him off. Knows exactly what he's doing, and he should have received a second yellow. But as you say, Sam, VAR can't intervene on second yellows, but that's certainly one for the referee to reflect on why he didn't send him off.
They're going to change that, though, aren't they? I get the feeling that they're going to start looking at those second yellows. It's something in the IFAB agenda for the conference in March, isn't it? To have a look at whether or not it might be something that they can start looking at.
I think there's been lots of things muted, hasn't there? I think the other one they've been talking about is restarts as well. But listen, when that goes to the IFAB, it's then got to get through, hasn't it? And we'll decide. But who knows where it'll take us next? But as I said, coming back to this one, that should have been a second yellow card for me.
Okay, let's crack on.
Oh, and then Henderson challenges King. And King, I think, is going to get booked here for diving.
I think he's gone down cheaply. I don't think there was enough contact to give a penalty.
No foul by Muniz, who's into the penalty area now! And he lashes it beyond Kevin Kelleher. The VAR checking it.
So he's ruled the goal out, but what's influenced this is the blood coming from Collins' mouth.
Fulham 3, Brentford 1. We've got a couple of incidents to look at here. Josh King was booked for simulation. Now, I'm going to start with that because I just want to say, first of all, Michael Oliver cautioning Josh King for simulation in the first half. Great spot. He deserves credit for that, doesn't he, Chris?
Yeah, he does. I watched it. I wasn't sure. I actually thought, could there have been a third way? No penalty, no caution, goal kick. And when I looked at it again, Josh King was going down. Fair play to Michael Oliver, who's taken up a really good position. And let's be honest, Sam, with simulation, these are not easy decisions to make as a referee, because you're actually saying to a person, you've tried to deceive me into giving a penalty here when it's not. And there are lots of things to consider. And the other thing with simulation is it happens very quickly. It's that bang, that split second, and you've got to make that call. I mean, there's lots of things running through your head with simulation. You know, does a player initiate that contact? Are they exaggerating contact? So there's minimal contact. You exaggerate it, you make it look like you've been tripped. Are you avoiding, you know, a defender can slide in and are you avoiding contact? Or sometimes you just completely, totally and utterly dive. But in this situation, it was a really good spot, and there wasn't too many complaints afterwards. When you review it, you do realise what a good decision that was.
It was a good decision. VAR, Jared Gillett, Michael Oliver, we've already mentioned the referee. They had a bigger incident to worry about, though, late in the game. It didn't change the result, but it did change the scoreline here. Rodrigo Muñiz thought he'd notched the fourth. And what a goal that was, by the way. It was a terrific finish, an angled half volley that Caoimhín Kelleher had absolutely no chance of keeping out. However, after consultation with the VAR, the goal was chalked off because of the coming together between Muñiz and Collins, which left the defender with blood pouring from his mouth. Now, I don't think that this is violent conduct or serious foul play. I don't think he is disregarding the safety of an opponent. He is literally going up to win the ball. He has got no clue about or no intention to hurt Nathan Collins. So should the goal have been disallowed for that foul in the build-up?
Well, the final say with this is always on the referee, Michael Oliver, who quite clearly doesn't see what happens. Now, as you say, Sam, it was a great goal. I mean, you know, you watch that and we love footy, as we say every week, don't we? We love our football. But when you see it back, what Muñiz did was he actually swung his arm prior to touching the ball, and his forearm caught the player clean in the face. So play was allowed to continue and the goal was scored. Now, we know that's automatically checked by the VAR, who obviously is Jared Gillett in this situation. And when you go back and see it, the ball is being played into Muñiz. He's not touched it. And to create space, he's flung his arm and caught him in the face. He actually blooded his nose. So Jared Gillett's recommended a review here to go and look at the screen. Now, Michael has the final say on this. He decides whether he thinks it's a foul. Now, when I look at that, I think it was a foul. Because
do you? Why do you think it's a foul? Because he's not actively seeking out Collins. It wasn't an elbow. Was it a push? Was it something else? How much force was really used here? Surely he's just going up, trying to get high up by using his sort of arms to propel him further into the air.
Yeah, well, play it. Listen, you play yourself, Sam, and you know that when you jump for a ball, it's always there to use your arm for leverage and you'll get up. But what this was, his arm was parallel to the ground and he flings his arm out and catches him with his forearm across the nose. So that's a foul. I mean, if it would have been seen on field, I'm pretty confident the referee would have given a foul in that situation.
Did he not see it on field? I mean, was this a clear and obvious error?
No,
Did he not see it at all?
When you look at the sort of geography of the stadium where it happened, I think it was out on the right wing. So the Bournemouth defender's back is to the referee. And I'm pretty confident he wouldn't have seen that situation. If he had done, I'm pretty sure he would have given a foul. I think it's a reckless use of the arm. Quite right to review it. And there was no surprise when the goal was disallowed. I just felt that was a foul. I really do.
Do you think that this is, I mean, maybe I'm wrong here, but I thought as soon as I saw the blood, I thought, well, he's going to chalk this off. There's no doubt now, because the blood gives it away, doesn't it? It sort of says that there was aggressive contact. But also the optics of the situation. If you've got a player that's got blood streaming from his mouth and then you allow the goal to continue, obviously that wouldn't be a great look. So I thought as soon as I saw the blood, that's it. It's going to be chalked off.
Well, you can't referee consequences. You can only judge on what you see. And on this one, I wasn't surprised. I mean, if, as I said, if the referee sees that on field, I'm pretty sure he would have given a free kick. It was a foul, in my opinion, that one.
Okay, Chris, thank you very much for your help today. Appreciate you going through all those instances. Quite a few to get your teeth into. Look, listen, I remain educated after the Reynildo red card. I now know what violent conduct is and how straight that leg was. I stand corrected. Chris and I will be back next week to review all the big incidents in the Premier League and beyond. Tell your friends about Men in Black. If you want to watch the podcast, it's on YouTube. If you want to listen to it, it's on the Premier League All Access feed from talkSPORT on the talkSPORT app or wherever you get your podcasts. Rate and review and tell all your friends about it. This is talkSPORT.